Hey everybody, it's Peggy Hasenauer from the Kobler Diabetes Center. As you know, we've had so many wonderful people joining us on videos. Today we've got my friend Al Taylor, who is just a wonderful guy, has a great family, and has some experience with diabetes. He's going to share with us today. Hey Al, how are you?
Good, Peggy. How you doing?
I'm good. I can't thank you enough for joining us today.
No, no, no.
What
Thanks for including us.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
it's been great. I know that you've had an interesting journey with type 1 that I wonder if you'll share with us, not only for yourself but your family.
Yeah. So again, my name is Al Taylor. I'm a type 1 diabetic. I was diagnosed when I was 7. So it's coming up on, just over 32 years. And it's, been a turbulent time. Right now is obviously interesting to begin with. But a sort of diabetes wrinkle that came up a few years back is actually my oldest son was also diagnosed. My son Aiden is 10 now. He was diagnosed also when he was 7. And the both of us kind of deal with it individually, but also collectively, and try to, kind of help each other problem solve as we kind of deal with this disease on a real time basis. I'm a New Yorker. I grew up on Long Island, and I was lucky enough. My wife's from Chicago. We moved here full time in 2017,
Mhm.
and I was quickly put in touch with Peggy and Dr. Phillipson, and I've been a patient at Kovler, and it's an organization that I love, and mostly because of the people and how well they take care of me and my family. So happy to be a
That's
part of
awesome.
this.
Thanks, Al. I think
Mhm.
one of the things I've been thinking about with you and with many of us as parents at home is we're trying to figure out how to parent our kids 24/7, how we're educating them, how we're trying to make them dinner, and we're trying to take work calls. And then you also have, the extra sort of burden, if you will, let's call it what it is, for managing your blood sugars on a day-to-day basis and helping your son manage. How is that going at home? And by the way, Mr. Taylor has 4 kids. Okay, so Aiden's his oldest, but this guy's got a lot going on. So
Yeah.
tell me how it's going in your household right now.
We're doing fine, and I think my wife Nora, who Peggy knows, I think would say the same thing.
Hmm.
It's true. It's not cliche. It's legitimately one day at a time. But we've kind of got our schedule set up. Hold on one second, Kev. You got to close that, buddy. Yeah, no, no, no. You got to close that. You got to close that.
I'll take Kevin. I'll take
Yeah,
him.
yeah.
I'll bring him
So
in.
that's our third. Kevin is 5. But no. So I mean, like, it's a combination of work from home. I tend to travel a ton for work, so like I'm not only home a lot because of this, but I'm home a lot more than typical. And just sort of like setting the boundaries that you need to get your work done, but also to be there for your family. So I think like what we've been able, you know, we're doing great from a family perspective, because the thing that I also point out to people is like, nobody is would elect to go through what everybody's going through, but like you're really missing an opportunity if you don't recognize like what I call like the simpler things, right? Like going out for bike rides during the day, or having dinner together as a family every night, and kind of not having a lot of the outside activities that we always have, and being able to sort of like maximize that, because it's probably not going to be forever that we have to do. It's not going to be, but so that's like life in general. From a diabetes perspective, it's been great because Aiden and I have been able to sort of experiment a little bit. It's been I'll give you 2 examples, right? So one where we've been able to experiment is Aiden's 10 years old, right? So he's not like
Hmm.
let's go to the gym and let's do this, but like I exercise, 4 to 5 times a week, and I do a lot of cardio because it just helps my glucose levels and control. And it was really cool. Like it was last week, I woke up to do a run early. Aiden was coincidentally up pretty early, and he woke up, and I was like, "What's your number?" And he's like, "I'm 302." And I was like, "All right, dude." I was like, "I got an idea for you." I was like, "I'm gonna go for a run. Why don't you get on your bike, and like, we'll do 4 miles, and I run, you ride your bike, and I want to show you how that'll help your blood sugar." And he was like, "All right." I mean, he negotiated a little bit, like some screen time and other things, but we did it. A, we had a great like father son time, but B is like he actually saw how we got back. He gave himself insulin. We went for bike run. He got home. He went from 302 to 210. We waited about another 30 minutes, and like he set up for the breakfast table, and he was 132, right? And
Amazing.
it
Like
was just a great,
what a cool experiment and a
yeah,
cool story.
and listen, like it was just a timing and it worked, but it was something I had been thinking about for a long time. It's just like, how am I going to like tie this up? And like when he came down, it was nice and early, and I was like, you know what, let's do it. So that was cool. Another thing, like, how do we adjust here is like 2 weeks ago, I was kind of like middle of the afternoon, it's just like a weird time, and like my numbers were high, and I had 2 days in a row for no real good reason that I had ketones, and I was like, why is this happening? And what I kind of came to realize is that like I'm not drinking fluids as frequently as I was, or I typically am. I'm obviously not moving around as much because like I'm kind of, you know, stuck to my stay at home desk and things along those lines. So I've kind of started to, obviously like got the ketones flushed out, but like I'm making it a point to like, make sure I'm drinking a ton of water during the day, and also making sure that like I'm, even if it's for 10 minutes, just taking walks and getting around. So, that I think has really helped from a diabetes perspective in a big way. So that's good. Whatever, like my numbers were just like kind of post early afternoon, like going high, and I had 2 days in a row where I had ketones, which was just like totally random. And
Wow.
I was like, all right, let me think this through. And I realized like I wasn't drinking enough water, and I wasn't walking around, even just like casual, sort of like get the body moving. And since I've changed, like, I've made it an effort to do that, and like it's made a difference. So it was, and I don't know that I can totally point that work from home is the reason for that, but like it was weird, but that's might be something that other people are going through.
Well, I think that's a good point. I think a lot of people that we know are dealing with uh, the stress of sort of this whole thing in just sort of like the new normal that we're in. And then I think people are also dealing with change, right? And so when we change, the body changes. And I think that's what many people who are going to see this are feeling right now. They're feeling like, why is my blood sugar 400? Or why did I
Yeah,
wake up this morning and it was 40? And it's never been that way before.
yeah,
So I think those like real stories and what you're sharing is important to a lot of people, which is why we're having this convo.
yeah. Because
It's
there's like the stress thing is something that you kind of, I don't put a lot of time into, but like we're all going through it, right? Like
sure,
whether you're aware of it or it's just part of your subconscious, right? Like we're doing stuff that we're not supposed to be doing, and or
sure.
we're not typically doing. So, yep,
Sure.
agreed.
And I think what's interesting is we had this phenomenal event for the Kovler Diabetes Center not 6 weeks ago,
Right.
which was amazing for us because we are sort of part of the medical center, but we also support ourselves and the work that we do. And I can't even begin to thank you enough for all that you and your wife do to support the Kobler Diabetes Center and you as a board member. And I would love to have you share your perspective for those people who maybe don't know that much about us, why you're involved philanthropically and from an advocacy standpoint, in addition to being our patient. It's not for
Yeah.
everybody, but what makes a difference for you?
Um. Well, I'll say this. So first is like, how did this kind of start, right? So, um, as a you know I had historically done like runs and other things, but I hadn't made like a concerted commitment to one diabetes organization, right? But it was actually when Aiden was diagnosed where I kind of recognized that my parents had done an amazing job as role models. We supported the Joslin Diabetes Center, which is in Boston, but they sort of showed me the way in terms of why that's important. So I recognized that once Aiden was diagnosed, that it was maybe a little bit more important for me to sort of like role model as well. So that was like right at the time when I moved to Chicago, and I met Dr. Phillipson, and we hit it off really quickly, and he and I sort of discussed it, and he asked about my appetite to join the board. So I was flattered to be asked, and I'm proud to continue to be a member, which has now been, going on 3 years, I guess. And why? It's because like, um, it's like it's a good story that like the more in the weeds you get with Kovler, the better it gets, right?
We're one big
Where
family,
on
for
the
good or bad,
surface,
right?
yeah, you have Peggy and Amy and Dr. Phillipson, but then you have, people like Sally Kovler, who, not only, she's just an amazing woman, and just a great advocate for diabetes, and there are a lot of other people on the board who I put in that camp. Brad is an amazing, sort of also sort of like part of the team. So,
Sure.
that's why I continue, why I'm so as proud as I am. And, and they help us, right? I mean, I hope I'm not a high maintenance patient, but when I need something or I'm concerned about something, I don't hesitate, and I never feel like a burden. And like, that's special, right? I mean, that's not an everyday type of thing. And I also, one of the funny things too is I can remember, like, because we originally, Aiden was not seeing Dr. Phillipson, and then Peggy and I kind of talked about it. I was like, this just makes sense. Let's have the whole family see Dr. Phillipson. And that's great. But now when Aiden goes to to see Dr. Phillipson, like, we have to basically sit him down like every now and then and be like, okay, Aiden, like, you're 10 years old, but like Dr. Phillipson in the world of diabetes is a king. Okay. So like, let's just make sure that, you're on your best behavior, and, you're giving him the due attention that he deserves. And they have a funny relationship about it. So anyway, I'll pause there. Sorry, Peg.
No, I think that's what we want, though. I mean, Al, that's what we want, not just for you, but for everybody. I think one of the things that we've created at Kobler that I'm proud of is that we're very hands-on, right? We're at this big academic medical institution that is world renowned, that we're so proud of, and we work with people like Dr. Phillipson every day. But there has to be some tangible, friendly, customer service oriented piece to it, so people feel like and actually know who we are, right? So like, you can actually get in touch with us if you need us, that your family can get in touch with us if they need us, not just about
Well,
diabetes, but other stuff.
it's a partnership, right? I mean,
Yeah.
like, it's customer service is not the wrong word, but like, it's a partnership, right? And it's like, you know, I, 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 I have funny moments with Dr. Phillipson about it. Like, I have, not always funny, but like, we always get to, a better place, right? And that's like the key. It's like, it's the minute that there's hesitance to reaching out, that's when it's a problem, right?
That's an awesome
I've,
point, because I
and
can't
I've never felt that way.
well, I can't tell you how many people I talk to that I'm grateful and honored that they know me through someone else, and they say, "Hey, Peg, I'm struggling with my blood sugars, or I'm struggling with other clinical issues," and they're so grateful that I can help them navigate. But my first thought is, geez, I feel bad that, like, either you're not reaching out to your own primary care doc, or maybe you don't know who to reach out to, or you called somebody and they didn't call you back. And so I so appreciate that you feel that way.
Think of my friend, Joe from, a year and a half ago. This is a friend of mine who basically went to see his GP. He got like, oh, your blood sugar's 400, like, book an appointment with an endocrinologist. And he calls me and I'm like, that's not right. I got you and he connected, and like, you got him on the right track, right? I mean, it was
Sure.
like, and that's just, I've always felt through the Jocelyn, through Kovler, through most diabetes organization, it's kind of like a band of brothers, right? And everybody, I think for the most part, my experiences, people are looking out for each other, and that's important.
Well, thanks for looking out for us and for always being our friend and our partner. And we are going to be connecting maybe with Aiden soon, or with Nora soon, to do a follow up to this. I would love to hear her perspective, both good and bad, about being in
Yeah.
the house managing all these kids and
Yeah.
helping out with blood sugars. But it sounds like you're getting it done, Al. So thank you so much for joining us today.
No, thanks for asking. Appreciate it. All right.
All right. Take care. Have a great day.
Good to see you. You too.
See ya.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.